The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, started the webcast here a little bit earlier. Hopefully you guys are A-okay. I see Maria. Hello again. Thank you. Hopefully you saw that the question area is now open as well. Hopefully when you guys log in, you should be able to hear my voice. I guess if you don't know, you're not hearing my voice, but you should be able to hear my voice, see my screen. We have the Empowering At-Risk Students today. It's going to be our finale of our 4-part series. And so what we'll do is we'll kind of hang out for a little bit here, just hang tight for a little bit, get settled in. I do like to start a little bit earlier. I did promise my attendees in the last session that we'll try to do a little guess the fictional character or teacher game again. So we'll start that up here in a second. I just want to make sure everybody populates in. We have a growing list here. So if you're just joining us, this is the fourth of the webinar series, Empowering At-Risk Students, brought to you by ACCSC and Science Educational Services. The control panel is going to have a questions area where you can throw in some questions or answers or whatever you want to do to communicate with me. I have that up on a secondary screen over here to peek in. So I do want to say hi to Maria if you're not, and Brenda. You still have class can wait. Yes, I will, Brenda. I will wait for you until at the top of the hour. Usually, I give everybody a couple of minutes to the top of the hour. Right now, I just want to start early just to get everybody situated. Now, some people let us know that they like to kind of settle in and get everything situated to make sure their screens work and their sounds work. And sometimes that takes a couple minutes. I do like to start a little bit earlier. So as you're going up, we'll kind of get started here in a little bit. So we'll do a little fun thing at the very beginning just to test out the visuals and audio, try to guess the fictional teacher here. And we did such a great job last time. I tried to make it a little bit trickier this time. We'll see. We have a good audience in this ACCSC crowd. We got a lot of people guessed all of them correctly. I think we had six fictional teachers, and I think had a lot of people had 6 out of 6, a lot of 5 out of 6s as well. Diane, hello. Thank you so much. As you log in, you should see your control panel. It does have the question there, so you can shoot me messages or feedback or anything else in there. Also, there's the handout section. We should see 2 out of 5 handouts in there. There's the Webinar 4 certificate. It is a Word document, so you can download that Word document, edit that recipient name or person name in there, and then type in your own, hit save, and print it out, or type in your own name if you're with a group. I know some of you join us in a big group, and I appreciate that. I don't know if you guys are huddled around a small screen or putting up on the big screen. But if you do have multiple people, there is a Empowering Students the sign-in sheet for you. We don't need a sign-in sheet, so you don't have to submit it anything or email it to me. But there will be the sign-in sheet at the very end there, and you can use that as your own personal sign-in sheet if you need to document who attended the webinar. And there's that certificate, so you can type in someone's name, hit save as, and type in certificate David Grimes, and do another save as recipient Maria or Brenda or Diane or whoever it might be. And then that way you have a certificate for everybody. You do need Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word's the best option. It was designed in Microsoft Word, but you can use probably like a Google Doc or something different. Just double check the text size and shape and everything else in there. Sometimes it does show up a little bit wonky. Anyways, as we were getting here, we're going to start off in the Empowering At-Risk Students today. But before we go, I see I have a couple people joining us early, so I do like to hang out a little bit. Make sure you get your sound ready. You should be muted upon entry, so feel free to make those last-minute calls or yell down the hallway or something. It's not going to bother us any. And as we go, let's see if we can guess any other ones. Good afternoon, Monica. Welcome. All right, so we're going to start here, and I'll kind of take some breaks in case people are popping in. They're like, what the heck did I just join? So I might repeat myself. So if you're joining us now, you might hear the same phrase, but welcome to the ACCSC webinar. We'll begin here shortly, so hang back, sit back, relax, take it easy as we begin. We're going to just play a little short game, make sure the control panel's working, your screen's working, and the audio's working. So here's my first guess the fictional character here. So we'll see if this one goes up. I'm going to just put up a little hint. You could tell me who it is. I will take either the real person's name, the show I'll give partial credit for, or movie. I will also give it for if you know the real actor or actress name. And this one says, this teacher or master, I should say, said, do or do not, there is no try. Awesome. Jonathan Ring, first one to ring in. Very good. Dennis, awesome. Sheila, Suzanne, Danielle, I seen them popping in here. A lot of good answers. I'll wait one more moment. If you're just joining us and you're like, what's happening here? We're not started yet. Don't worry about that. We're just kind of playing a little fun game before we begin. We have about 10 minutes or so, 9 minutes before the official webinar starts. So we're just here hanging out with our early bird group here who are signing in, and I appreciate it. Lots and lots of good answers here. I'm going to hang out here. Anybody guess Yoda? I think I see lots of Yodas on there. Perfect. Nice one. All right. 1 for a lot of people here. Actually, one of my campus presidents is, I think he has a frame with this sign up there. I like it. So that's what came to mind when I thought about it. All right, let's do a second one here. You don't have to be in a society to know this teacher who said, no matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world. Now, if you want to guess it, throw it into the question area here. And if you're just joining us, we're just playing a short game before we start the Empowering At-Risk Students for Student Success webinar. We'll start here in about 8 or 9 minutes, but we're going to play a couple guessing games here, trying to guess the fictional teacher. This one's tough. My keyword here is society. So you don't have to be in a society, and that's my teacher hint that I would give my students. I would kind of stress that out and slow down society and point that out as a keyword if I was lecturing today in class. You don't have to be in a society to know this teacher who said, no matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world. This one's a tough one. I see a couple one putting in. All right, good. I see another one. Sheila, I think, is the first one. Sheila gets half credit for that one. I like it. Tracy, I think Tracy's got it. Chung Yen, you got it. Lindsay, all right. I think I got a couple good ones. I see a couple more populated in. Anybody could guess it? Last one before we move forward here. Mr. Keating in Dead Poet Society, Robin Williams. I had a lot of Robin Williams. So I was released in, 1980, 89? I remember seeing that one. So that tells you that I'm probably more of a Gen Xer than a millennial here. I think this one won an Academy Award for a Best Original Screenplay. So an oldie but a goodie I like. So that's this one. And again, if you're just joining us, you were a little early, so we're just playing a Guess the Fictional Character game. As you settle in here, just take a moment to kick back and relax. We'll start the presentation here in a couple minutes. In the meantime, we're going to play a little game of Guess the Fictional Character. I got a lot of people who guessed the first one. We had Yoda as one of the masters or teachers. Second one, we had Mr. Keating in Dead Poet Society, Robin Williams. So we'll do another one. And so these ones are a little bit tougher, so I like this one. All right, let's go. Maybe it's a different round. I don't know if we'll get this one. This one's a good one, though. Get on the bus to know who said, take chances, make mistakes, get messy. And again, my keyword here, if anybody does not know it, is bus. Get on the bus. And so if you're just joining us, kick back, relax. You should see the handout section on your control panel. It has the Webinar 4 certificate, also a sign-in sheet for your own taking if you want to have it. You don't need to use the sign-in sheet if you don't want to, but that certificate is in Word format. We'll start here in a little bit. We have about 6 more minutes before we have to officially begin. I usually wait a little bit because I know some people populate right in or they're jumping in here right after class. So I do like to make sure everybody gets in and doesn't miss the beginning. Let's see who. Theodore, I'll give the bonus points for. I saw Theodore, he got the first one. He actually got the teacher name. Impressive. Dennis, I'll give you credit for. That's good job. Tracy, Chung Yin again. Susan, I got a lot of people guessing this one. All right, so I'm going to give you just a couple more moments and we'll get to the next one. This is a little different. We had Yoda's the first one, so some type of puppet. Then we had Mr. Keating, which is in the movie Dead Poet Society. And this one, I had a couple people guess, is Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. Never watched the Magic School. I've seen it. I think I seen it on Netflix, to be honest, with like a revival. It was a show in the mid to late 90s, but I think I saw a new series on Netflix. I think it's having a revival. All right, how about this one? This one I think is a little bit easier. If you watch shows nowadays, or if you were into this certain show, but this once teacher, not a teacher anymore in that TV series, also known as Heisenberg, said, technically chemistry is the study of matter, but I prefer to see it as the study of change. Yes, a lot of good ones. Um, I know a lot of different ones here. Got a couple more in. Yes, I see some people getting in. Yeah, it's a lot of interesting shows. A lot of people like it. A lot of not quite the nicest family friendly show. I'd say that, but a popular person nonetheless. A lot of when Tracy, Jennifer, Andrew, Rob, great show. I had some people be like, I don't know about that show, and some people say, great show. The guy from yes, Priscilla. I'll give you credit for that one today. Dennis has the name. I like that one as well. Jonathan, got it. Sheila, lots of good ones here. All right, this one is definitely Walter White. Walter White, the once teacher, who is, guess he turned to a, I guess we could say he was a cook now instead of a teacher. That's our next one here. So that's, we're just playing a quick guess the educator game here. If you're just joining us, we have a couple more minutes here. We'll start the ACCSC and SciENA Empowering At-Risk Students presentation, the fourth and the last of the webinar series. So this is it, folks. This is our finale here. So I'm glad you can join us today. I see a lot of familiar names in the chat and the attendee list. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us today. Just to kind of have about 3 or 4 minutes left, we'll kind of go over a couple more, then we'll kind of start the presentation here real soon. But in the meantime, I do like to see if we can guess maybe 1 or 2 more educators, fictional educators in a movie, TV show, cartoon, or whatever it might be. We'll see if we can get a couple more here. I got a lot of different ones. A lot of people, I think, still batting 1,000 here. I tried to make this tougher, but we got a good crowd here. How about this one? While undercover, this individual discovers his passion for teaching and considers changing his profession to become an educator. If you can't guess this teacher, it's okay. If you can't think of it, it's not a tumor. Nice. Susan gets the bonus points. First one in there. And the actual teacher name. I'll give you credit for that one. Very good. Well, undercover, this individual, and this was a well, I guess it was quite a while ago. It's not like a Walter White more recent one. This one's a little bit older. I think I got Susan in there. Good job. Yes. Dennis, Jennifer, Diane, Danielle, John, you got it as well. Chung Yin, yes. Man, you are knocking them all down. Priscilla, awesome. Good job. Perfect. Sheila, I like your answer there. That's perfect. We got about 2 more minutes before we start. If you're just joining us, you're like, what the heck's going on? We're just playing Guess the Fictional Educator game as we have some early birds who came in. I do like to play a game on near the end of the week here. Some of us end today. Some of us have a little more day left in the classroom. So I like to have a little bit of fun here before we begin. We got 2 more minutes. You should be able to join in, and we're playing Guess the Fictional Character game. This one is Mr. Kimball, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop. Perfect. Lots of good ones. All right, let's do one more. I got time for one more here. And do one more. I think this one. We'll see what this one is. This one, you may know it if you are old enough, or you maybe have kids that may have seen this one as well. This one, this teacher said, "I've often thought about it, but I can't abandon my children. And if I couldn't teach, I'd have nothing at all." She was so sweet, sweet as this, to Matilda. What is this teacher's name? This one's a tricky one. We'll see. Look at this one. Again, if you're just joining us, thank you for coming to our 4th ACCSC webinar series. We're just playing a little Guess the Fictional Educator game here as we begin. We got about 1 minute left, and then we'll start in a moment. All right, I got a couple guesses. Awesome. I'll leave it up for one more second here as people are joining us. I see the attendee list growing here. If you're just joining us, we'll start here in one moment. When you guys pop in, you will be muted upon entry, so feel free to move around, shuffle around, get those headsets or speakers set up A-OK, and then sit back and relax. We'll start here in one moment. I got a couple of them. All right. Yes. Awesome, awesome. I'm just waiting for a couple more to come in. I got a lot of people. I think I've got a lot of people hitting all 6 of these as well. Very good. A lot of people guessed Miss Honey, Embeth Davis from Matilda. Thank you so much. All right. That's all I got for today. So I appreciate you guys joining me early. We started about 1:15, and I had a good group jump in, and we got a lot of them. So ding, ding for anybody who got most of these correct. We do have a lot of them. I love it. So this is a good crowd. This is one of the best crowds that I had that could guess some of these. This is great. So I appreciate you joining me for a little bit of fun, but let's kick it in gear here as we hit the top of the hour. We're going to begin the fourth webinar here in a series, Empowering At-Risk Students. This one is will be also found on the ACCSC website. Again, give it about a day or so. The recording, my slideshow, the certificate, if you can't download it in that handout section, you should see the certificate, Webinar 4 certificate. It is a document file. Make sure you could use Microsoft Word or a similar program to open that document. You can edit it to put your name on it if you need it. I know some of you might need my name and stuff. It's David M. Grimes. Put it up there for a second. You could throw that on the certificate. It is editable, so you can move things around or edit the text a little bit. I know sometimes you need the presenter's name and whatnot in there in the title. So all that's going to be in that certificate. Again, if you can't get it, you can't download it, it's airing on you, you can't find it, or if you're using a mobile device, I know sometimes the mobile device doesn't have the full control panel sometimes. Just kick back and relax a little bit. It should be updated on the website within a day or two. I think so far, Chris Lambert and the crew over at the ACCSC organization there, they've been putting up within 24 hours. So we'll put them on the spot and we'll say, yeah, they'll get it up by tomorrow, right? They'll have it up there. So as we begin, we'll go with this kind of finale for this webinar series. So we may see some things pop up that we've talked about. I'm not going to go in depth into a lot of things, but you're like, I kind of see how things all kind of tie together, and that's great. I want to make sure you see some of these things kind of pop in the first one to now, the second one to now, the third one to now. The nice thing is, though, is you could attend none of the previous ones and just attend this one, and you'll be A-okay. So just because this is in a series doesn't mean you need to see the first three movies to understand this one. Each one is independent on its own. And again, each of the three, too, are up on the ACCSC website. So definitely check out that website. They have a lot of great content up there, not only from the last four, but ones that I participated in last year and some other ones, too, that are webinars. So if you need some professional development credit, definitely check out the ACCSC website. They have a lot of great stuff on there. You go over to events on the website, and then you can click on webinars, and then you should see all the information that we'll present today and the ones that we presented in the last 2 weeks here. So I think we're ready to begin. So I think I see a lot of people still populating. If you're just joining us, hang tight. We'll be starting here in a moment. But I did want to just kind of kick this off a little bit and just share basically a figure that it's going to knock your socks off here, basically. And it said, in general, the more risk characteristics a student has, the greater the chance that he or she will not complete college or not graduate. Now, this is a study from graduating at-risk students. It was from the Imagine America Foundation. And this is one study of many that was interesting because I don't think it's mind-blowing that you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I never knew that. I believe we've seen that probably firsthand. That we see the students in our classrooms that have more characteristics. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. The chances of retaining them in the classroom, getting them to be successful, is a little bit more difficult. But the nice thing about this one is that it shows that career colleges have a consistent, solid population. And I'll say consistent, solid because it might vary. So as you think about your population, do you see like a small but like needing population at your school? Do you see one that is mostly, maybe it's half the student body you think has one or more at-risk characteristics? Or is it more than that? And so I like to say, in general, when you see studies, it will say there's a solid population of at-risk students, one that we should pay attention to, that we should, help out and help them get over these hurdles. So that is going to be the kind of the kickoff here, is figuring out what these at-risk characteristics are, these hurdles are, and what are solutions to hopefully get them over that hurdle and lead them to success. So let's start at the beginning like we usually do at these presentations and start with at-risk. So just overcoming at-risk. So what is at-risk? To me, and there's a couple of general definitions, but to me, when I think about it in my classroom, at the school, I think, it means a student has a higher probability, a higher possibility in failing academically for one reason or another. And to help students overcome hurdles as they enter their academic journey, I like to group them into 3 different categories to help chunk out possible solutions to implement in our schools. When I think about risk characteristics in general, it's just a lot of different things, a lot of different ways we can do it. So sometimes it's overwhelming. And so I do like to kind of chunk it out. And I like to share these categories with you today and share some possible solutions that I have seen in the classroom myself, but also ones that were shared with me from other teachers who are on the front lines. This presentation is a flavor of ones I've been requested to give on ground campuses. So it's nice to go and see a campus and see, kind of like in finer detail what their hurdles are. And so I get a lot of great information. I bring that back in and I kind of funnel it into this presentation. So this is a growing presentation. It changes over time. It adds things. It removes things. So as we go through this presentation today, think in your head, as we go through different topics, are there some that appear on the screen that I'm like, oh yeah, that's those are ones that I have, or maybe there's ones that we don't mention. And I'm just trying to. There's so many. I'm trying to hit the hot topic of a couple ones that were brought up or ones that I've seen. So if I don't hit it, doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So definitely share it in that question area. I'll be more than happy to share it and make sure we could add to this, and that way we can have a nice larger list of ideas and solutions for at-risk characteristics. So when looking at possible issues and possible solutions, I like to focus on the go, know, and flow of students. And although I like short rhyming words, I think we should probably jump into an explanation for each one. So we got go, know, and flow. And so as a more kind of in-depth to get what we mean by go, know, and flow, the go students in my mind are students who may struggle with transitioning to your campuses. These students are on that onboarding phase. The students are making their way from the admissions department to your classroom. And that's the go students. The know group are students in our classrooms who may struggle with content stuff, the topics, the terms, the different subjects, and the procedures that go, into learning all the material. That's the know group. And the flow group, these are the students who may find difficulties or who struggle with managing their learning, going with the flow from orientation to graduation, from class to class, or maybe from topic to topic. They're flowing. What kind of things are hurdles for these flow students? So as we dive in today, we'll kind of hit every single one to go, know, and flow. We'll look at possible risk characteristics, and we'll look at possible solutions. So hopefully some of these will become familiar. Hopefully some of these are new ones that you're like, oh, that's a nice one, or something to keep an eye out for. Maybe you don't see this yet, but knowing about it can maybe help you find a solution a little bit quicker, a little bit easier in the near future. So let's go with the transition students first. So I think it's important to start here at Go because in my mind, and I think, and most people agree with me when I talk to them, is like the sooner you can identify and help at-risk students, the better, right? So the transition students from admissions into the classroom, if we can identify them early, have that early intervention, this is going to be key. Now, I was able to chat with an academic dean. I won't throw his name out there at the moment, but he is from a career college up near Toledo, Ohio, and he has a great group of staff and faculty up there. And we were talking about different topics to present. And one was talking about the different at-risk characteristics, and he said something that really stuck with me, and I wanted to share it with you today. And he said, when you're looking at students who are coming, who are on board, he said, all new students are at-risk students. And I said, I really like this mentality. Everyone who comes through our door can be an at-risk student because they're doing something new. They're juggling a new ball in their life. They have work, they have their home life, and now they're juggling this academic ball. And for many people, it's going to be a struggle. Some people adapt quickly, some may not. But it is this new thing in their lives that I think everybody, if you look at it, everybody who comes through that door, who's sitting in orientation, who is going through the admissions process, can be an at-risk student. I think that's a good way to look at it because that's going to help you really fine-tune a lot of parts of your school, a lot of parts of your classroom to help these Go students. So here are some of the ones that come up a lot. Again, this isn't the end-all, be-all for the list, but ones that I hear commonly, and I've experienced commonly, is unreliable transportation, the feeling like they don't fit in. They think, college is not for me. They kind of, think they can do it, but then they slowly, think it's not for them. Some of them don't have that support system. We talked about support systems in the other webinars. They don't have a support system at home. And that's a hurdle for these people who are transitioning into college. Maybe they have emergencies with childcare. And that's a common theme and it depends on your program. And, if you have a larger population of women instead of men. But sometimes we see men who take care of the child too, and they just have trouble with, they don't have a support system, and then if something happens at home, they have to miss school. They're going to take take their family as the most important rock in their life and take care of their children, which is totally understandable. But that's if they're taking care of that, then they're not coming to class. They're missing. They don't have the attendance to come, and they're missing great things at the school. So sometimes that's a kind of a hurdle that the students know as well, and they present that at the orientation, or they present that with the admissions officer, the admissions rep. And then unsure of the experience, just kind of wishy-washy about the whole thing. So those are the common ones. So those are the characteristics, some of the things we can look out for. So as we look at those, we want to take a look at what avenues can we look at the onboarding process. So as we focus, we should focus on, and I think we should look at guided tours, which is part of the onboarding, orientation, which is part of the onboarding, the support services that the students know about and we offer. And so when the new students come to our schools, they know about these support systems, because if they don't have it at home, we got it at our school. And I think just an overall welcoming of the students. So I'm going to leave this one up here because there's a lot of these. I'm trying to get a bunch of different ideas up on the screen at once. So I apologize a lot. It's text heavy than my usual slides, but I just want to put that out here just to share a lot of different ideas. So let's just go around the horn, and we'll start with the guided tours. I'll try to hit each one quickly just to see if you're I don't know what that one means. But when you look at guided tours, a lot of success we found, a lot of the nice touch to make your school maybe a little bit better than the competition down the road, or the student just not too sure about coming to your school, is having these welcome signs being personalized for your students. So, I mean, how nice is it for if you were a student to come in and you have, and it could be one of those little 8.5 by 11 clear plastic things that sit up on the front desk that says welcome, welcome Kay, welcome Anna, welcome Scott, welcome to the welcome to your your tour or whatever. And just nice to see your name up at the school. Some of schools have the TV in the lobbies and stuff, and they'll make the slideshow in the morning or the previous night, and they'll put the student's name. We want to welcome to this person and this person. And just that's that nice personal touch to get them to feel comfortable at your school, to feel like they're supported at your school. So thinking of ways to get that personalized welcome sign up there is very helpful. The next one is open and staff communication. This one's been really helpful personally in my experience with the different colleges I've been at, and ones that I've talked to, where in faculty meetings, the admissions rep is invited, especially when they start the module, they start the semester, or whatever it might be, and having the admissions rep with you at the faculty meetings. They have all kinds of great information. They got to know the students. They know these hurdles already. They may know they have childcare issues, transportation issues, and that's something we could be a lookout for. And so bringing in and kind of intermingling between the departments is going to help a lot. And I don't know if some of us do that already, or if we do it in a logical way or in a purposeful way, but they're always having this onboarding kind of part of a faculty meeting where the rep comes in. They don't have to say the whole time. They could just come at the beginning, come at the end, and share their experiences and just say who to look out for. This is the kind of people I feel like we have. They're coming through. And that might just be, the help that these students might get. And it just helps you out a little bit. It gives you, instead of them coming in with as blank slates, you have a little bit of a heads up. The student tour scheduled to faculty, this one was a great one. This is still working with your admissions rep. Is our admissions rep would email the faculty, and the faculty would know who would be coming in. And then we could communicate back and forth. So I can talk to my rep and say, you know what, I'm doing an awesome lab today. If you're coming in around 2 p.m. today, definitely stop it and hey, bring that student inside my classroom. We're doing a lab. It's a fun thing. It's great, and then that way I know who's also coming. They send out a list of everybody who's coming to the school on a tour, and I try to memorize it, or I'll put a little cheat sheet, a post-it note on my desk, and know that Eli's coming at 2 o'clock. And that way, when I'm in the lab and the admissions rep comes in, and I go, hey, is this Eli? Eli, I hear you want to be a business student, or I hear you want to be a medical assistant, or whatever it might be. Again, it's that personal touch that can make the difference. Make them feel welcome, make them feel like they can be part of your community, your student community, your school community, And that just might be the little push they need. It's just like, well, the other school, they just kind of did the normal tour, but this one, they knew my name. That guy, I don't even know who this guy is, who this teacher is, but he knew my name. And I think that kind of could go a long way with kind of planning out and scheduling the tours and letting the instructors know who will be, maybe coming around the hallways during a day, but also letting the admissions reps know, like, you know what, feel free to stop in, knock on my door, and if we're in the lab, just come on in. You could come in, or that way they can show what I call the fun stuff. If I'm doing what happens, like say today, if I'm doing a lecture, they could pop in and look at me, but you're just going to look at me, maybe sitting in front of the classroom. That's not going to be fun. So it's going to help the admissions rep to show off what we do at our schools. And a lot of it is a hands-on learning, so it's a nice way to showcase that hands-on learning and kind of, again, intercommunicate with one another. One that was shared with me, which I thought was a great idea, was introducing new students to the leadership team. Now, it could be during the guided tours, like, here's your support system. Here's the campus president, academic dean, the counselors, the person who works in for the financial aid. Here is so and so, and just getting to know all the different teachers as much as possible. And it could be something as simple as, if you can't see everybody in person, you could always have a visual sheet or the PowerPoint slide that maybe you show your students during the admissions time of, like, put a face to the name, and just so these are all the people that could help you out. And that way they have, they maybe have more reason to reach out to somebody, whether it's this teacher or the academic dean, or if they see the campus president, they're not the big scary principal guy or woman. They're the person that can say, can I talk to you for a second? And they feel comfortable doing that. So those are guided tours. One. Moving to orientation, some interesting things is the welcome packet, which has a lot of information. They try to arm the student with information, and it could be a digital packet too. That maybe they'll give them a couple sheets of paper, but if you want to save a couple bucks on paper, or if you don't want to put it like in a nice binder that they can have and have it nice and organized, you can make it. You can start off with a digital packet where you could share a file with them. There's something that's shared in everybody's, student folder that has all kinds of great information at the school, who to contact, where to reach out for, school alerts, whatever it might be. You could have all this in this welcome packet. And what we'll talk about a little bit later is, like, having different tips of how to be successful in the classroom. Maybe that's, in the welcome packet. A course checklist is nice. This is a nice, you could create a nice document or a nice checklist for students so they can check off the list, put it up on the fridge, put it by their computer, have it in their binder, where they can actually see the progress they're making towards graduation. Surprisingly, if you ask them, like, how many more classes you have left, they have no idea, and they're not too sure. And so what you can do is you can have this checklist, and you can make it really nice, so it's something that they actually want to put up on the fridge or something, or have or print out, and they can have this checklist of all the different things. And it's so cool when they start getting into a couple courses and they're like, all right, I only have this many left, and then I'm on the tail, I only have 2 more left. It's kind of a nice way, and people like checklists, and so it's a nice thing to maybe provide in a course packet, or maybe just to have a different checklist. During orientation, a lot of staff and faculty members say they break out, so they get to know them better. This department meets with a couple students. This department meets a couple students. So it's just not a big orientation. It's more of a intimate orientation. You get to know the different teachers, and having as many teachers present at the orientation. I know it's not always possible to have everybody, but have as many as you can is going to be nice. Again, getting a name to faces and faces to names, and just the being able to recognize the different teachers and staff members who are going to be roaming the halls is going to be really nice. We have there's a whole presentation you can do on orientation techniques. So I just put make it fun. There's a lot of different things that you can do for orientation, instead of just going up and saying, here's the rules for, we did the Ben Stein thing last week. Here are the rules for the campus, and here's the stuff we need to do for accreditation purposes, and here's this stuff. That's important stuff, no doubt. But at the same time, you want to think about your class. You wouldn't want to lecture for all the time during orientation, but you want to make it fun, make it interactive. Whether you break out, you play different fun games, get to know each other. Just make sure they're moving around a little bit. Maybe they're going in one room and they do like the lecture part, but then they meet in the media center and they do this other part. Just thinking about how to make orientation fun and meaningful is a good way to have a nice mix. And I always like to say, bring in alumni. A lot of faculty members really praise how helpful the alumni are. Bringing them in and saying, you know what, I was in your shoes 9 months ago, last year, or whatever it might be. And this is what I was worried about, and this is what I learned through the process. So I'm here to help you and tell you, you know what, you should do this, this, and this, and don't do this, this, and this. And again, hearing it from the alumni is going to be better usually than hearing it from an old guy like me telling them what to do or what not to do. So bringing in alumni, all those different things could help with orientation. And then let's go down and back to the left here. Just feeling welcome, I think, is a nice thing. Virtual first impressions means taking a look at your social media accounts, maybe your LinkedIn profile if you have one, or if you don't have one, should you have one, or should you have social media? And does it really communicate the atmosphere you want your students to have at the school? Is it just a bunch of kind of marketing ads being like classes start soon, enroll now? Is it that, and is it just pictures of the students doing labs? Is it students getting awards? Is it teachers doing sharing video and stuff like that? We do for the holidays. I'm part of an online campus. We share holiday greetings, and so I make up holiday greetings, and you can make it fun, and it's just something simple that's nice that you can reach the student body. And again, think of those prospective students, those onboarding students who are checking you out before they come, maybe even through your doors. But it's also something that they can go back to. Again, if a new student, and if you have a population that likes social media, that is involved in social media, putting information up on the social media site is going to be very, very helpful. So I just like the virtual first impressions. It's something just to reflect upon. A student spotlight board, again, it's instead of going online, let's go offline and think about bulletin boards for a little bit, and thinking about like highlighting students. And you're really we know we all cater to the students, we all try to help the students the best as possible, but really show that in your hallways. Is there bulletin boards? Is there stuff in the student lounge? Is there stuff online and offline that we show up? The What's Up board was something that shared with me, which I thought was a great idea. The What's Up board is just a thing things that are going on, whether it's campus events, community events, or one school had teachers that every Friday for the next week they put up what tests were coming up. So it's between being in class, room in the hallways, you might be walking down the hallway like, oh no, I have that test on Thursday. Oh no, maybe just that will help, and just seeing what's up, what's happening at our school, what's happening around town. And sometimes that was just a nice, helpful way to give students an extra support. Another group always puts up counseling services and makes up boards or shares information in a welcome packet. Not that that was a great idea. There's a lot of different community entities that can help with mental health, stress, the health board, stuff like that. Just sharing those numbers and sharing those options is going to be great, whether it's a bulletin board that looks really nice and fancy, or is it just a sheet of paper that has a nice list of all the different help that they can get in school and outside of your campus walls as well. So I thought that was a great idea. As students begin and they're onboarding through the process, I think it's always it's always nice to be mindful of the encouragement you give students, especially who are starting out. Again, this is something new. So making them feel welcome, offering that little bit extra encouragement for those new students, and making sure they're okay, checking in on them, all tell them they're doing a great job and stuff like that. Just simple things that could go a long way. And so that's the welcome section. And to round out the Go students here, these are just services. So can your school do this, or is it something that you could partner with? Is it a student pantry, which was great? Some of our students may come from low income areas who are supporting their family and they can't work as much because now they're in class. And so a pantry is going to go a long way. Same thing as student pantries. There are some schools that have like a shop for business attire, suit jackets and nice clothing and stuff like that, just to help the students out who might need that, scrubs or whatever it might be. There's different ways that we can help, maybe within our own size. A coat drive is a nice one. So there's lots of great types of things we can do. And then, let them know there are mentoring services, there are tutors, there are assistance programs available at our school. I don't want to say shove it down their throat a little bit, but always make it accessible, always make it known, because it's one of those things that us as educators and faculty members, staff members, we know because we deal with it every day. We're the ones who put it together. But think of it from the perspective of a new student. Do they always know? Maybe they heard it that one time in orientation, but then it's nowhere else to be seen. And so if it's not heard or seen, it's probably forgotten. So it's always keeping these services, the tutoring, the assistance programs, the mentoring, whatever it might be, keeping that in front of the students. We also do meet the leadership teams. If you can't do it during orientation or you can't do it during a guided tour, just make sure this leadership team stops by and roams the hallways. The campus president goes out and roams the hallways. The academic dean roams the hallways, peeks in and says, maybe it sits in on the class a little bit, or participates in a lab, and they get worked on as the patient, for example. Just getting the leadership team involved. And last but not least, I like this one too, was the scholarship initiative. And we've actually introduced this one into our online program, is where we proactively in a student success class, have students look for scholarship opportunities. So they actually help, and they have these different ways where we can, keep an eye on scholarships. So they might find one that they might be interested in. Maybe it's not one they qualify now, but after they get some grades in, after they spend so much time in the school, they could apply for them later. So they work with our financial aid department and have this kind of an assignment where they go through and learn about scholarship initiatives and learn about money and finances and whatnot, just to help them, because again, they might be working less because they have to be in our class now. Maybe there's something that happens, so they have to budget. So we do like these budget things and kind of keep the scholarship and budget type of ideas in mind. So again, this is just a general, quick hitter for different things, and hopefully just to give you ideas. I just want to just say this might work. I don't want to give too much detail because everybody has different courses, different sizes of schools, different student bodies. But I would like just to pause one moment and see if anybody has any awesome, great ideas. Like I saw people saying the beach ball, at the orientation, tossing things out. Again, it's fun, and having different questions. So they get the ball and they have to answer a question about their favorite, sports team or something, just to make it fun. So we get to know each other and, throw it to a teacher, throw it to a staff member. So there's a lot of great ones. So if you want to just take a moment, if you have any that you could think of that you do that has been successful, definitely throw it in the question. If you have any questions about maybe ones. And I'm just going to take a look here. It says we used to put the potential student names on the board. We were told this up because of the fear of this being a potential. FERPA. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. That's something to be wary about, being just giving out too much information on the students. You could always get the permission if they want to be up there. I know some students don't want their picture to be up in the hallway, like they're the new student, and then they walk in and then it's like a driver's license photo for them. So yeah, that's definitely something to be aware of whether it's that violation or just something that they really want their photo up there. It's always nice to ask. I always ask for photos when I do in my classroom. So if we're doing a cool app, I'm like, can I take a photo of this? We might put up on the bulletin board. And sometimes, some students are like, no, and you get to know the students who don't want to put their photos up. But great point, Christopher. Thank you for bringing that one up. Yep, I think getting students as program cohorts to help the students develop a good support system, that's an excellent idea. I like to push the message of, you're going to be with these group of students usually for your entire academic career here, and you're going to share the same classes. So it's nice to get to know each other, help each other out, be each other's, aid as you go through. And so I think that's a great idea, and breaking them out. Yeah, gift card to the school store, having the school store, doing the t-shirts and stuff like that. That's a great. Bowling night. Yeah, we have different nights. We've held different campus events and stuff like that, just getting them interested. Using first names. Yeah, exactly. You can use just maybe the first names on the sheet if you're worried about the FERPA violation. But yeah, that's something to think about. Just use the first names, last name. Is it photo okay? Or just get permission? And then let's see what else we got. Yeah, student leaders. I think that's great. We talked about having students being leaders and volunteering. It's great to have current students maybe participate in orientation as well, and have them as student leaders and showing them around the schools, or maybe as guides as well. They can assist the admissions representatives and kind of give them the heads up. Sometimes you'll get some students who like that volunteering experience and put that up on their resume. So that's a great idea. And get together breakfast, the donuts and coffees, and having that in the student lounge. I think it's a great idea. If there's an excuse to go in the student lounge as an instructor or administrator, it's always nice to pop in there. Sometimes I would put some things in there, like we had a fridge, I'd put pop in there on purpose, so it'd force me to go into the student lounge and hang out, or just there's TV on, so I'd go in and check what's on TV and get to see the students. So it's great. Yeah, just getting to go in and have that rapport with the students at the very beginning, and it's all about rapport, and it's all about showing them the options and showing that we care at our school. All right. So if there's any more, throw them in there as well. And we're going to switch gears a little bit here and jump to the know group. This is know the content. So this is all about, basically we went from admissions to the classroom. Now we're going to focus the students who are inside our classrooms. So this is know the content group. And so here are some of the, you know, maybe common or ones that pop up a lot of characteristics that might be different types of, hurdles or things to look out for. The first one is appear unmotivated. I underlined appear because I had a group who said, sometimes, they may be unmotivated, and they're just unmotivated, and they just don't have an interest for whatever reason, being in the class or finishing things or doing things. But sometimes they appear unmotivated, even though they are motivated. It's just that they had to work the night shift and they're coming into your classroom with a 2-hour nap before they have to start classes. So, what may appear as not being motivated is something different. So there might be this underlying, thing underneath this, what appears to be not having motivation. So I thought appear unmotivated is a good one. You'll recognize that some students just need academic support. They're not getting something. They need some type of remedial support. They might just need an extra person to help out to understand something. And so this is extra academic support they need. We have students who have a fixed mindset. And this just means they, believe they can't do it. They're never going to do it. I can't get this, insert topic here. There's the habit of procrastination, where you put off things to the last second. The test is not until Friday, so I will study Thursday night or Friday morning. The paper is not due to Friday, so I will write it, Thursday night. That type of thing. Lack of self-efficacy. That's like lack of confidence too. That kind of goes with that fixed mindset. They just always think they're just never going to do it. They don't have, it's not fixed, but they just have this low self-esteem. And the last one is first generation college students. And these first generation has, I think, a broad term, but in general, it's, students who do not have a parents or guardians who have attended school before. So they're going through this the first time. So everything is new, and it might be a big thing of, getting all the paperwork in, knowing what to do for studying and what kind of work and ethic needs to be put in to do well in the classroom. It just, they have nobody who has experience to help them out along that path. So those are some of the major ones. And again, there might be some more of these that we can add to the list here. And again, you can definitely add them into the chat. I'll try to cover them afterwards and make sure we hit all of them. So with this in mind, when we look at the know, I think there's 3 avenues we can hit here. And that is looking at our course design. I think it's empowering teachers, like, building up those teacher strategies a little bit, or empower ourselves, and having the career tie-in. So those are the 3 that we'll focus on for our know group of students who maybe lack this content knowledge. And so course design, I like to start off with, just because I do some curriculum design work and instructional design work, and sometimes it is a little tweak here or there in the design could go a long way. And so I do like to share with the scaffolded learning. And this is one that involves, if you ever play, Candy Crush, you play Angry Birds, you play Mario, Zelda, or something like that, you'll notice that most of us can probably play level 1. Or when you play a game that you never played before, you play Zelda, the new Zelda on the Wii, you are like, it's a pretty intense game, but you could probably get by at the beginning. They have nice guides at the beginning. They show you how to jump and swing the sword or whatever it might be. They show you how to, launch the bird. And you could do the first couple levels, and it gets a little bit harder, and you might not be able to finish it, but it's just enough to push you. It's not too hard, because if it was too hard, if you played a game that was too hard, you just might quit, and you put the controller down and you move on. You put your iPhone down, your Android phone down, and you move on. But it's that perfect mix of challenging yourself and, letting you get it. And sooner or later, boom, you get it and you get to be that level. And it's such a satisfying feeling. Think of that in our classroom and think about, is week 1 pretty crazy? Do we offer crazy things in week 1? Should it be, maybe smaller test, more time on the test? Should I give them maybe a notes outline and kind of just guide them into the process instead of just wham right into the the heat of the content, and they have to memorize 1,000 terms or do this huge test. And not saying that there's a right or wrong way, but just looking at the scaffolding is going to help. In addition, looking at chunking the materials as you do the course design is looking at, what can I do to chunk it out more? Instead of maybe if there's a big topic, can I chunk it down to smaller topics so they're more bite-sized morsels of comprehension for the students? And so looking at your course or your program and looking at, do we see a place where they struggle? Can we chunk it down a little bit? And so that's going to be very helpful. Blended learning is great. This was shared with me is that if you have on-ground students, it's figuring out a way if there's an online solution, whether you use like a Google Classroom or a Google Sites, Wix.com. There's a couple different websites that you can build, like a student or teacher page where you can share things outside of your classroom wall. So, for example, if a student wasn't getting the content correctly, they go home and they have homework and they run into a roadblock. Well, you're not sitting there in their room or at their kitchen table helping them out, so they might not be able to finish the project. But if they were able to go to a website and there was a helpful video, helpful documentation, FAQs that you could put together, that's going to help the student in this hybrid situation, this blended learning where they can learn a bunch in your classroom, but there's also great content, online that they can access as well. If you're online, it's using kind of methods on ground that students prefer, using, instead of just sharing a slideshow like we're doing right now, maybe doing video of myself talking. And sometimes that just is a personal touch for these online students to get, that on ground feel a little bit. So it's just blended learning options. The last one for course design I just want to mention is reviewing the feedback methods. It's one of those things that I think exists, and it's easy to put off. Personally, I know it's easy to put off some of these things, but it's looking at the data and it's looking at, are we asking the right questions? Can we alter the questions? Should we be looking at for something different? Is there an initiative that we're doing this year, a mission or a goal that's an overall goal this year? Can we alter the questions in our feedback surveys, our student feedback surveys, and even surveys that we hand out? If you're a school leader, maybe it's something that does the faculty have feedback to help out with the course design, and ideas, and how does that process work? And so those are some things with the course design. One thing I mentioned, and I keep mentioning, is this career tie-in across the different webinars. And I think that is super important, whether it's personal stories. We talked about case studies, relating the real world into the classroom. Role playing, if you can't get out into the real world yet, or you don't have an externship or internship yet, is role playing. And it could be in the lab, it could be in the classroom setting, but you bring in students and they play the role as the practitioner, the patient, the family member, the doctor, the technician, or whatever it might be. You give them roles, and you could sculpt a pretty good lesson where you can, again, give students cue cards. You can throw a wrench in. They're doing a procedure, and you say, okay, what happens if this happens? And then they have to think on their feet. And so it's a nice way to do role playing. And daily career tie-ins, if you can't do any of those things above, it's just every day thinking of a way to tie in why this is important. We talked about why, like giving students the motivation to learn what's going on today. Why should I care about the lesson today? Well, at the beginning of the class, you could always just say, today's lesson, or today is the objective is this, and this is how it relates to the career. And just be explicit about it. You can have things up on the board in the corner that says, this is the career tie-in. Why is today important? Well, it's up on the board. And so by the end of the class period, they can have this, idea of like, okay, I just learned this. This is going to help me in my job. So again, just always thinking those career tie-ins. I always think, getting assistance from your career management director, your career management team is always such a helpful thing, just like getting help from your admissions team, always working together, because there's a lot of great things that can go back and forth between the different departments. The last one is instruction. Instruction is the teaching strategy. So I just picked a couple out of here. There's a lot of them. If you want to dive into experiential activities at the very end there's that webinar, which was on Tuesday. You could download and watch that one. That one has some good ideas, and some good ideas were shared in the chat as well. But some of them, just to hit some quick ones that might not seem, you're like, what does that mean? Curriculum with credentials is good. If always seeing if your curriculum can meet the credential requirements. So looking at, say, a business curriculum and saying, can a student, or should a student get their Microsoft Excel certification, a QuickBooks certification, or some type of accounting certification? Would that help? And again, looking at your area, look at your community, and seeing, is there one? And just giving them offers. Can they get other ones? I think the more credentials they have, the better they can be when they hit that job market. And of course, you're going to run into costs and stuff like that. So I know there's hurdles there, but at the same time, just looking at it and saying, if is there opportunity? Can a student take the CompTIA A+ exam, and can they also take this other organization exam and this other one? Again, having credentials might put it, if they're even with another candidate in the job place, having that extra credential is going to be very helpful. Also, it's a nice way to look at it if you're a prospective student, you're going to the classroom, seeing what kind of credentials you can own. The nice thing too is that a lot of these credentials are built with objectives. They're built with these goals and outlines of content that they feel is important as an organization to our fields of study. So it's a nice way to use that as a framework, maybe for our own course if we're designing a new one or we're looking to tweak ours, is looking at these credentials and maybe working what they think is important into our curriculum and mixing what they think, what we think, and making a nice solid curriculum. Explicit daily objectives and goals, that's just a simple way of just putting the goal of today up on the board. And that way, and the students know at the end of the day, did they reach that goal or not? Bell ringers are nice because they are activities at the very beginning of class, even before class starts. You have one teed up already. So students walk in, they know to start working on their short 5-10 question quiz that's up on a slideshow, that they have to answer. It's a short response that I collect as a grade. And for me personally, these are nice because it's a way to help get attendance in. I will do bell ringers and just collect them. And I've scaffolded my class enough where I know that if a student misses, say, 4 of my bell ringer activities, my 4 little short quizzes that are, about yesterday's topics, they start dropping a letter grade. And so, students will know you have to be at Mr. Grimes' class at the very beginning of the bell. You can't walk in 10 minutes afterwards because he's not going to let you do the activity, and that's going to hurt you. So it's just a nice way to get, I think it's quote unquote easy points to get at the same time, but it's also points that could be helpful if you have an attendance issue, if you have students, who are not grasping the stuff that happened yesterday. You can kind of figure this out in this bell ringer activity at the beginning. Keep it in mind, informal feedback. I had a lot of great feedback in the last couple of weeks here about using Kahoot, Poll Everywhere, stuff like that, where you can kind of pause your lecture and get some feedback. So I thought that was real nice. Someone just put on here, John said, using your cell phones in class and stuff. Cell phones are a distraction. They might be a distraction, but can you put them to good use? Can they, answer things on their cell phone? Some of these Poll Everywhere, some of these Kahoot sites, take advantage of the mobile browser. And if they could connect to Wi-Fi, they're not using any minutes. So that's going to be very helpful. Bring in experts, people in the community to talk. Again, just get a different perspective than, Mr. Grimes always talking to you day in and day out. They get somebody else to get in there. Offering different types of group work. And, there's different types of group work. It's just not like go meet in a group and answer this question or solve this. There's different flavors of group where we talked about think, pair, share, cooperative learning. You assign tasks to each group member and then they come together to do a presentation. Just thinking about different types of group work that might help. And again, it's getting that perspective from that peer-to-peer help. Again, they're getting that lens from maybe a classmate and then you as well. And so that just helps out the instruction as well. Hands-on opportunities is a nice one, and that's what we talked about the other day. But it's just thinking about, am I maximizing the hands-on opportunities in my classroom? Can I, tweak these to make them a little bit more better, or to make them better, to make them more excited? To have them more motivated to do these activities. And so just thinking about hands-on opportunities. The recap and up next are those bookend things for the classes. I think those are nice. It provides a familiarity of how classes start and how classes should end, and they get used to it after so many times of going through your class. At the very beginning, you're going to do this bell ringer, for example, and at the end, we're going to review and recap. As a teacher, it's nice because then you can kind of get a feel if the students are getting it or not. And then you could, maybe if you found out there was a topic that they didn't quite grasp, well, tomorrow, the first thing in class, we'll kind of go over that topic. So it's, thinking about recapping and what's up next. It's linking. That's a good way to link different topics. Sometimes students just think, they don't really see how things relate from class to class to day. And so that recapping up next is helpful. And experiential activities is getting that career tie-in again. It's thinking of like, how can we bring in this career experience into the classroom to help our students realize and be motivated to do, what they should do and learn so they can reach the end goal, that end prize. So those are some of the main ones. Again, I'll just want to pause here because I think I see the chat window scrolling longer and longer. So I think it's the great ones. The bell ringer activities require note taking. That's a great one. We'll cover note taking here actually in a little bit. So John, I appreciate that one. That's a nice segue into my next section here. Any student in any class needs to show what they want to learn. That's great. Yeah, it's getting the students involved in the learning process. And sometimes I've been involved where teachers ask them, they have what they want, in their syllabi, but they'll ask, what do you want to get out of this classroom? And then sometimes it's, you can kind of realize that you can use their words and their interests and relate it to the content in the course, because they may want something and the way they read it in the syllabus or the way they interpret it might not be the same way, and you can make that link for them. So I think that's a great idea. So thank you, Scott, for that one. Cell phones is great. We had cell phones doing contests, encourage interactions. Yeah, just thinking about, and not having that one person always answer the questions is, ask the class a question and help each other, ask different people to participate. And if they don't know the answer, that's okay. You could say you could pass or whatever. I told you I use different cue cards for students who I know a question I'm going to ask later on in class, and I'll give them a card at the beginning, and I'll pass it at the beginning. And sometimes people just know that I'll call on them, but at least it gives them a heads up to think, I'm going to call on you later on. Um, I used to do it discreetly for sometimes if I'm trying to get maybe a shy student to participate a little bit more. Sometimes I just do it as part of the thing. You walk in my class and you're the lucky person that wins a card. That means I'm going to ask you a question later on. At the very least, it's sometimes it's random. I might have some motive to give to certain different individuals, but at the same time, it gives the students at least ample time to think about it. So I'm not catching them on the spot, and sometimes that helps them and makes them encouraged to participate and interact more. Scott has a good one. It's good to tell your story and entertain their questions. Let the students know what what that we genuinely care. That's perfect. I think it's important to tell your story, to tell why you're doing what you're doing, your experience that you've had in the field too. A lot of us are practitioners in the field or have been practitioners in the field, and sharing that experience. That's perfect. Yep, students act as colleagues in the workplace, and yeah, acting like colleagues, acting like a team. That's what Steven said in the chat here. It is getting those students to realize that you're going to be team members out in the field. You're going to work with other team members. You're going to work with supervisors. You're going to work with people you like and you don't like. You probably want to build upon that skill now, and it's relating that and encouraging that too. Student committees. That's great, and all this. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in here. So I appreciate all that. All right, so let's try to conclude here with the flow. So it's our last one here. We're approaching about 10 more minutes. I do want to leave some time to maybe chat afterwards. And again, I always like to stick around afterwards. So if you have to bolt at 3, that's totally understandable. But I'll stay online as long as I can and answer any questions afterwards. Sometimes it's easier as we do things that doesn't have a certain time limit to it at the end. So I'll stay on 15, 20, 30 minutes afterwards if you like. So keep those questions coming. I appreciate the feedback. There's a lot of great ideas. Like I said, the nice thing is we are a great group of people here at ACCSC, and not one person has all the answers, but I think all of us have one or two answers that we could share with one another. And think about that just down the hallway too. Do you share enough individually in your classrooms, in your hallways? The teacher that's way down the hallway, do you meet with him or her enough and share ideas and have kind of these brainstorming meetings and sessions at your own school, kind of like what we're doing today, but in a smaller capacity? All right, so last we come on flow, and then this is how students manage the learning, how they flow through your class from one class to the next, all the way to graduation. And so this is where we're talking about note taking. I think someone mentioned note taking skills, and so note taking skills is one of the many of note taking, reading, test taking skills, memorization, study habits, and soft skills I want to throw in there at the end too. And so those are all the different types of things that we can focus on, I think. And these are some things that lack. My students just don't take real good notes. They don't read the book often. The book is in pristine condition. I could tell the cover hasn't even been bent open by the end of the semester. Students don't take tests well, and that's going to be very important because guess what? They probably have to take a test to get a certification. So it's going to be important to develop the test taking skills. And also, it's helpful to have memorization habits, good study habits, and again, soft skills is a career thing that I've added on to here because it's just been a focus on different different schools, our own schools, talking with the community, the different business leaders and stuff. It's always building the soft skills more and more. So with that in mind, these are pretty self-explanatory, but we'll take a look at what we can do for note-taking habits, reading habits, improving memorization and test taking. I'll kind of group that together, and maybe some studying habits and thinking about soft skills as well. So as we look at those, we'll go here just to take a look at some of them. Some of these are self-explanatory, but I do like to take some time and thinking about, like, do you offer explicitly suggestions and tips and strategies to take notes? Is it in that welcome packet? Is it something you talk about in orientation? Is it something that you mentioned maybe in day one? Hey, we take a lot of notes in this class. Here are some methods. Because what I'd like to tell students is, what, if you use one method and it's not working, why are you doing it over and over again in my class or in other classes if it's not working? Well, they might not know there's other methods involved. They might not know what the Cornell mapping is, where you have questions on the left-hand side of the paper. They're kind of notes or the questions on the left, notes on the right, and the bottom, they have to summarize what the day is. And I say, if you have trouble summarizing what today is about, talk to me, let me know, we can kind of work together. It's about using colors and annotations. I have students like, take advantage of those glittery, sparkly inks that you have. Use blue for normal notes, use red for definitions, use green for questions that you may have, and just making your notes more visual, do more drawings or use more graphs, because again, remembering that glittery note, or just not glitter, but you can use red, green, blue notes. Sometimes that pops in their head a little bit more. And again, they might not know. And so I just say, try this. Try using your notes in different colors. And I'll after a while, I gather enough pens and pencils and whatnot that are left behind in my classroom that I can kind of create a little stash for people. I go to Walmart in the fall when everything's super cheap, when you get like those 10-cent folders and super cheap pens, and I'll grab a couple pens just so I can have on hand. So if someone is struggling, I can, hey, try colors and see if that works. Try visual styles. If someone's more of a visual learner, draw more graphs, draw more pictures, and worry about the notes later. Maybe that will help in class. So just, thinking about different ways to explicitly explain that there are different note-taking techniques, and, be open to try them. You might have a student success class, and if you have that, that's a great opportunity. Or you can do it again, orientation, first day. They have, I forget what they named it. It was some type of fancy name for Mondays, where every Monday they would do a new strategy. And it was just the first 5 minutes of class, or something to look forward to. And, who knows, if it helps one student, that's going to be awesome. So that's note-taking strategies. So thinking about note-taking strategies, similarly to reading and studying, about the textbook. And one thing is, like, we hand out textbooks, we tell them to read pages this to this, but, would explicitly showing them how to use the books. And for me, I always skip over those first pages that are in like Roman numerals or in letters or whatever it is. And usually that first page has of like, this is how to use the book. And I found out that some of my students in some of my classes, didn't know to use the index or the table of contents to find content. They would just, not see something and email me, Mr. Grump, I can't find this. I'm like, it was, right there in the table of contents. Oh, I didn't know that. Or they don't know just, the important information is also in the box off to the side of the page. Just because it's in a different section, it's not in the quote unquote core text area, it doesn't mean it's not important. Just sharing that explicitly. That's on day one. That could be something. This is our textbook and this is how it's arranged. This is what the book recommends, and kind of explicitly going over it and seeing if that helps. And maybe that might help the reading. Because again, for me, I would assume that I think everybody knows how to take notes. I assume everybody would know how to use a textbook effectively. But, I don't think that's a great idea to assume all the time. And so I started being explicit in those first day activities and kind of, easing in and showing them some good strategies to hopefully they can be good and have success in the classroom. So those are some other things, I just tell them to skim, take your own notes. You don't have to take notes. You can listen to me and take your own notes if you want to before or after class. Break down your reading times. If you can't sit and read the whole thing in an hour, just read 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here, and see if that helps. And I always tell them to look at their environment. Are they, sitting at the kitchen table with the TV on with the kids running around? See if you can get a timeout, a mom or dad or a personal timeout, whatever it might be, to sit in a room and quietly read, to quietly study. And sometimes that's real helpful. On the right-hand side, we have mnemonic devices and keywords and qualifiers and different memorization and test taking techniques. Again, just being explicit and say, here's, I remember what every good boy does find EGBDF on the treble clef, the planets, with the pizza saying. If there's a list of information they need to know, develop mnemonic devices for them. And I will tell them this in lecture. I will give them one mnemonic device and explicitly share it in a lecture. Maybe that's going to help them remember things. So just taking a look at your own materials, your own lecture, and say they have to memorize steps, they have to memorize a list of items. Can I give them a mnemonic device? Can I, share some test taking techniques so they can do well not only on my tests, but they can do well on the certification test as well. And the thing, if it always says never, if it always says always, that's probably the wrong answer. It's not 100%, but if you have no idea what the answer is, go with never and always. And for soft skills, just to mention, thinking about soft skills not as the job as a career management director, but looking at our program as a whole and looking at, do we offer enough presentations? Do we offer enough group work? Do we offer enough writing assignments? Because again, writing and spelling and all that's going to be real important as well when they get in the job. And can they be adaptive? Can they think on the fly? Can they change things in the classroom? How well are they, if you give them maybe a goal to complete by Friday, and probably next Friday, but then on Monday you say, you know what, you actually can't do this, and see what they do. Because again, nothing works as is on the job all the time. There's always these hiccups and these hurdles that we have to go through, and develop in ways that maybe you can throw in a wrinkle into an assignment that they, you can't use the internet for resources, just something that's different, that's out of the norm, and trying to help them with their soft skills, whether it's, working with teams, communicating, or writing, and think of the soft skills that way. So I think those are important. And again, it's easy to just say, let's do this at the very end. But I think putting it in the forefront and thinking about that from, the time they start their first class and orientation all the way through to that career management time where they're taking some kind of prep class, or they're taking, they're getting ready for their interviews and stuff. It should help at the very end, because it's just going to be a nice thing to build. You want to see growth in this. You don't want to give it to them all at once. And so I saw some people here, and it was like you're reading my mind a little bit, and it was about caring, showing how much you care. And I always carried this. This was from the first campus president I had, and he shares this with everybody in the staff and faculty: is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So the cool thing is that we share that that kind of that factor figure at the very beginning of the presentation. Now, despite these high percentages of at-risk students that come through our doors, and despite the wide range of risk factors they may have when they come through our doors, that same report says, and I know each of us know and we see it within our own eyes, is that we can and we do have success. We get more students that might have more, risk factors, but guess what? We educate them, we graduate them, we're looking to improve. So, and the great thing is, like today, we're here taking the time to participate in webinars. You can take a professional development class. You can read blogs, journals, magazine articles, sharing ideas at meetings in your school. We do all of these things to get better. So I think the cool thing about looking at-risk students is that, the unique thing is that, I think the unique thing about career colleges in general is that our biggest opportunities and the biggest challenges that we have are the same. It has the same origin, and it's the at-risk student. So when you're working with at-risk solutions in your school, there are definitely things that can help, carry the student. I think things like remedial programs and tutoring programs can definitely push the needle to improve the success in your school. But in my experience and talking with others, there's like this tipping point where things will eventually plateau. You can help the students up to a point with this remedial service, and then you're going to realize there's going to be certain personal roadblocks that the students are going to have to deal with. There's going to be this certain thing that's going to be developed by care and rapport that's going to help you push that needle even higher. So there's this marriage between, helping students with learning, helping students with their personal hurdles, helping students with remedial stuff, and helping and going above and beyond as just a stereotypical teacher or educator. You're going to be a mentor. You're going to be someone they might need to lean on. You might be someone who's going to introduce new strategies, test taking and note taking strategies to them. And so thinking about that and thinking about focusing on these areas, the go for the onboarding, the no for the content, the flow to help students, go through the materials. I think that can help, us become better, which is going to be real important, help our schools become better. And then finally, and most importantly, is, getting our students to be better, to be more successful in class. And so they can reach their goals. They come in and they have their goal in mind as getting a career and getting their certificate, getting their licensure, going through graduation. And you know what? Taking a little bit of time to do this caring and showing them and tweaking things here and there. Again, there's a lot of things that we shared today. Maybe one or two things is gonna do it. And just starting with something small and working up to something larger can be the thing that can help us be even better. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I'd like to share my email at the very end as we come here at the top of the hour, david.grimes@ciena.com. I am the curriculum and continuing education head here. And so anything up in that realm, feel free to email me. If you have any questions whatsoever, 2 minutes after the presentation or 2 months from now, definitely shoot me an email. If you're into accreditation or software development, we have great people who work in that. That's not my specialty. I do like to help on the curriculum end, but we have a great team there that works. So if you have a question, let me know. I will direct you to the correct person to talk to. I'll be more than happy to help you out in that realm. And again, everything's going to be on the ACCSC website. So if you did not get the certificate, definitely shoot over onto the accsc.org website. Go to events, and then go to webinars. And on the webinar screen, probably by tomorrow afternoon, you'll see the recordings, you'll see the slideshow, you'll see the certificate up there that you can download. And if you have any trouble, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Or if you have trouble locating something or something's not loading correctly, I'll help you get a certificate. I have a local version here on my desktop as well that I can always share with you. So again, I appreciate the time. And if you want to stick around a little bit on today, you can definitely stick around. I'll try to stay on as long as I can afterwards. I do appreciate your time here. And thank you for joining us, for all of those that were on here, all 4 sessions. I appreciate the last 2 weeks. It's been fun. The nice thing about ACCSC, I always tell Chris Lambert, is that we have a great audience on here. I like the feedback we get, and there's a lot of sharing of ideas, a lot of great content, not only as a presenter, but there's a lot of great content from the individuals in the different schools. So I want to thank you for joining me and hearing my voice for 2 weeks. Hopefully you got a nugget or two of information. And again, if you need any assistance, definitely reach out to me, david.grimes@ciena.com. So with that, I will officially end the presentation here, as we were about 2 after. So if you need to jump off, feel free to jump off. And I'll try to entertain any questions. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat here. I just want to say thank you to everybody. And then let's see, and we get some of the things is how do I print the webinar certificate? Oh, to print it, the webinar certificate is in a Word document, so you can use Microsoft Word, obviously, but any word processing program that opens a .doc or .docx file, it will have recipient name. So don't just open the certificate and hit print. Click on the certificate, download it, open it up, and put in your own name, or put in your own name, hit print, and then erase it and put in other people's names if you want to just do it real quickly. You can share it with individuals at your campus who attended today. If you attended in a group, share that. They should be able to open up Microsoft Word and then file print, and you should be A-OK to print that out. And again, if you don't see it now, it should be in the handout section. If you don't see it in the handout section or you can't access it today, it will be on the accsc.org website for the certificate. You should get that anytime. It's also if you need it, I could also try to track it down for you as well and let you know that it's going to be up. I know sometimes our school software too blocks certain websites with certain downloads, so if you run into issues that way, reach out to me. I can email it to you. Maybe you can download it in an email like as an attachment. Going back a little bit, 2-column techniques. I like that one. The dry erase board competition of questions. I like that. Yeah, any types of games and stuff that you can implement. I've done the millionaire game because it's nice to pull the audience, and you can tweak it however you want. But I turn off the lights. I get my a stool I put in the middle of the room, just get them into it, and then we also review and say why different ones are important to different questions. So we do have the game element, but we also do have the review and reflective element of it. So I think any type of games. What else we got? I'm trying to put, how can we put away the phones, or how can we utilize them? Dennis, that's a good question. It's all about trying to figure out, do you feel comfortable? And this is the thing too, I always tell people, do what you feel is comfortable. If you're not great at technology, or, you don't feel like confident enough to use a poll anywhere, don't use it yet. Do something, do like a first step. Maybe do something where you just have questions up on the slide, kind of like how we do in webinars. You can do this pause slide and ask a question on the webinar slide and just ask people. Once you get comfortable doing that, maybe introduce some type of Kahoot or some type of Poll Anywhere. or using their phones and whatnot. So I think there's different spheres that we have as educators. We have this practitioner sphere because we're experts in the content, and then we have this other sphere of like being comfortable with technology and utilizing technology. Sometimes everything goes well, sometimes it does not. Sometimes we have, I think, instructors that really take advantage of all the different technologies, and who are ahead of the game, who know these Kahoots and stuff. Where sometimes I'm like, well, I don't know where they get all this information. There's so much good stuff out there. I don't even know where to begin to look for stuff. If you're not there yet, do something simple. To me, I think something simple is just putting questions up on the board, and that forces me as an educator to pause and then take a look at questions. It reminds me to hey, let's chunk it down. Let's stop. Let's take a look here and answer some questions. So I think that was a good idea. Yeah, someone said I must have student driver license in the cards. I do, and we don't. I know getting students to class is difficult at times. I'm going to say reliable cars is another thing, and it depends on your area. I know a school that is more in a bigger city, they do fundraising for bus tickets and subway tickets. It depends on where you live. For us, it was doing rideshare programs and getting volunteers and showing where in maps we have different. I live more in the rural area of Ohio, and so we have different small towns everywhere. So it's like showing where these all small towns and showing where everybody comes from and putting dots on the map so people know, what, hey, these people drive 30 minutes like I do, or this person is on my way. And it's working with developing a rideshare program. I know there's no easy answer. I wish it was like I wish I had a school Uber where I would just drive and pick everybody up and my nice Dave Grimes bus and get everybody, and I drop them off. I drop their kids off at the daycare center that's behind our school that we built a building for, and that's like the ideal situation. But I know there's not an ideal situation. So I know sometimes it is tough to coordinate all that information, and knowing that those situations arise and having the students who have transportation issues, who have childcare issues, it's how do we still help them out, and but give them the tools to be successful, give them options to be successful, but at the same time, nothing's going to beat being in the classroom, sitting through lecture, sitting through and doing a lab, because if you miss that, it's going to be valuable time missed. Sometimes it's more flexible to have these makeup days. Sometimes there's or makeup hours or makeup half hour, or meet with different instructors. Sometimes we are practitioners. So I know some of our instructors bounce out because they have to go to another job, or they're just busy as well too. So sometimes I know that's difficult. Let's see, what else do I have on here? I got lots of great ideas. Joe says, oh, that's a great idea. In addition to a lesson plan, I provide students with a colorful calendar with assignments listed to keep students on track. Perfect. We've done that recently for courses that I curriculum build for. I'm like the project coordinate academic projects for this school. We developed this calendar. It's a year calendar that has the start and end dates, but it's also these individual calendars. And we share a Google Calendar that says this is when this is due, this is when this is due, this is when this happens, this is the day off of school, and take advantage of those phones. What, your phone actually can, if you click on this Google Calendar, it will import everything into your phone, and you can have your own personal calendar. So it's taking advantage of that technology, or just making a colorful calendar, something that's they're going to take a little bit of pride in to save somewhere and know that's going to be helpful. I've mentioned before we've done pre-planning assignments where at the beginning of each week I say, you know what, you need to map out your week for me and have that ready. And we do that as a Monday activity of, what is your schedule like? Do you have a lot of overtime you have to work? Is your family coming to visit? Do you have to go here? Is your kid getting sick over the weekend? Well, what are some success strategies? What are some hurdles you see as potential things, and what can you do to get over it? And plan out your day. When are you going to study? When are you going to review for the test? When are you going to read? And have them plan that out. So there's some kind of concrete calendar, like Joe was mentioning, where they have these ideas. And again, sometimes just providing with the calendars is going to be a huge thing, because they have never done that before at a different school in high school. They never had to have this time management aspect into their lives. And with them being so busy, having a simple calendar is going to be very, very useful. Family Feud interactive game for midterms. I like that. Having teams. So you get them working with teams and doing Family Feud. I like watching Family Feud, so I do like Family Feud. The nice thing is, if you can find, if you are tech savvy, there are these games. If you do like Family Feud template, Millionaire template, Jeopardy template, there are PowerPoints out there that exist, um, and you can edit those to make it worth your while. If you're not so tech savvy, I have teachers that just do it with the old fashioned pen and paper, print out cards and whatnot, and print out note cards and put that up on a Family Feud type board, or just put a magnet up, and that's the correct answer on the board. Or they just flip it and then put the magnet back up. Again, just think of what you feel comfortable and what resources you have, and you can make these neat games. Let's see. We have internet access rural areas. What is this? Yeah, that's a good question. It is one of those things. It's like with the cars. It's like not everybody has internet, reliable internet, or their internet is only on a tiered program, so they don't have a lot. So putting things up on the website and serving the video is not going to be great. Um, for students I've done in the past, and I haven't run this specifically enough that I have done this, but I know other teachers, instead of doing videos online, they'll share audio files. That they can send to their phone. They can download it on their phone or their tablet or whatever they may have, that they can bring to school on the school's Wi-Fi, and they can have downloadable audio that they can have. Almost, it's not like a podcast, but in podcast like fashion, you can download my lectures. I've done that for a student once or twice who needed assistance with, they just couldn't, serve a video over YouTube or Vimeo because it just ate too much bandwidth. Um, it's doing that type of thing. I let students bring in recorders so that they let me know they're recording me. They can bring in recorders, and I'll make sure to keep on topic as best as possible so they get good content and recording. So they have that. They don't need internet access for recording. And if it's a small enough, and I don't know the school size, but it's maybe having these recorders or these old iPods or these old MP3 players that you can loan out that have content that you can dump them onto for students who just don't live in an area that they have Wi-Fi, or it's that emergency situation where if the student takes the initiative to contact you and say, "Hey, I'd really love to do this, but I can't." Well, maybe have these programs and these fundraisers where you can maybe have these MP3 players. I know I'm just saying things that oh, so it'd be so great if we had the funds, but just something to think about, to offer. Sometimes our schools have old laptops, and so we would have a laptop lending program where our IT students would actually keep track and make sure everything's a-okay. So if the students needed a laptop to lend, old laptops that we don't use anymore that were used, or even a desktop that we'd never use anymore, we would just, instead of tossing them or donating them, we would just keep a couple around for students to share. So that's a great question, Mary. I think that's a great question to think about. Yeah, examples in real life. Again, Don, that's a great example. It's like anything you can relate to them, because again, they have to make this connection from what they know to what they don't know. So relating it to the real life, that's getting to know your students, to know your community, and relating things to their actual life. So that's a great idea, Don. So if you can have examples from their life, their generation, that could go a long ways. And doing things graphically, yeah, Don. If you are an Excel person, I do recommend doing charts and graphs. There's also nice if you Google free infographics. You can put together infographics, which are really nice. Again, it'll just help the visual students. I like personally like infographics. And every time I come across a news story or something that's been shared on like a Pinterest site that's infographics. I just like them. I just like seeing things graphically and getting a quick hitter. Boom, boom, boom. I got some great information. Done. And so sharing infographics to build off of what Don has shared. Thank you, Don. I like that. Let's see what else. Yeah, lots of great ideas. Some of these I think we should. Yeah, it says, Scott, it's a good question. So we have internet, which is a great tool, but people respond to face to face much better. Would you propose to your wife over a text message? I probably would not. I don't know if this generation would or not. But the best communication is still eye to eye. That is true. Scott, you bring up a great point. Is the communication that is needed is the eye to eye. If you take a look at the field that they're going to get into, the jobs they're going to get into. They're probably going to be working with people eye to eye, face to face. So having that face to face communication is big. If that is important, then definitely stress that a lot, as much as you can. And again, cater your courses, your lessons to that job as much as possible. So that's a great idea. Thank you, Scott. And then everybody, for the certificate, if you're still on here for the certificate, it should be available on the ACCSC website. If you are on a desktop or laptop, I know it's in the handout section, so you can jump on the handout section. To draw interest for students to their course book, I try to do a mini infomercial about the book, saying things like how great this book is, pointing out cool sections, giving an enthusiastic thumbs up review. That's perfect. Yeah, we have a course catalog online that we share, and I think it's part of our accreditation process. We have the course catalog available, and it's in PDF format. I teach a student success class every once in a while, and I'll have students actually go to that course catalog because it has great information on it. It has a list of their courses. So part of one of my assignments is going to the course catalog. And so that gets them to know where it's at, downloading it. So now they have a local copy. And then looking at it I have them rank, this is a student success class. So it's like one of the first classes they have. And I have them rank what difficulty they think the courses be. Like, do they think medical terminology is going to be more difficult? Or are they really worried about the effective communication because they just despise going in front of people and talking? And I have them list. What do you think? It's not, it's just just based off of the course description, what you know about the class, rank these from easiest to most difficult. And then that gets them thinking about, like, what are you going to do to overcome those most difficult ones? Think about how much extra time you may need to spend studying, to review, or reading the textbook when you get to these type of classes. And I have them save that. And so they get to use it. So one, they get to save the course catalog. Two, they get to save this kind of preparation for their courses coming up. So hopefully, when they come across that medical terminology class, for example, they think back to Mr. Grimes' class, like, oh yeah, I remember doing something like that, and I knew I was worried about it. So, maybe that's just a little spark that lights the fire that gets them going. So I think, drawing interest to the places that we actually have information available. A lot of us already have information available. Like you said, the course book, the course catalog, all that information is just getting students' eyes there. If I just told them, hey, we have the course catalogs up on the website, check it out whenever you want to, I would probably have one or none students check it out. But if I made it in my class, at least I know everybody, all 20, 30, 40 students in my class have at least downloaded it and looked at it and know where it's located on the website. So if they ever need it, they can look it up. And then I make them look at their courses. So at least they know what's coming up. I think it's going to be helpful, again, just to get that planning. It's part of that planning. It's part of, sharing that resource that we have, because there's a lot of good information on there. So thank you, Mary, for that one. That's a great one. Yep. Another calendars, different calendars. I like that. Different calendars, examples from real life. That's a lot more of those ones. That's excellent. Excellent. Yeah, someone said every student likes reviewing the tests, and that's true. I think review is helpful. Um, at the same time, I could see where it's a shortcut to learn what you need to learn. Like, why should I spend 4 days in this course when I could just kind of get the Cliff Notes version of the things I really need on that last day during the Jeopardy game or during the course review or whatever it might be? I see that as well. That's a good point to make. Does it help long term? Not, maybe it helps them for that test. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's something that I know teachers, and I don't know if this is directly related, but I know teachers who have, at the end of every day, they have their students as an exit assignment. That we had an exit ticket as one of the activities we did, or one of those bookend things. One thing you do for review is submit on a piece of paper or note card. They hand out note cards a test question that you think might appear, or a question that might appear on the test. Write it down. And so they would review with the questions the students make. And you can either form your test based off of that, or, you can just, if the students don't give a good effort into it, they don't get a good review at the end, then you can review the questions that the students make. That's just one example. I thought that was a nice way that the one teacher did that, was, using, having the students create the test questions, or at least think what they think it is. Because again, you could get a good feel if they're thinking they're getting on it or not. All the comments in the chat. That's a good question, Mary. There is a way. I'm going to see if there's a way, if I can save this somehow. I'll see if I can share it with Chris Lambert and the crew at ACCSC. I think it's just a one-way chat. The way it's set up, I think the chat is not the actual chat. It's the question field that's activated. So I will see if I can get a way to share the questions. I don't know if I can, but I'll see what I can do here to maybe see if I can at least save it and get all these responses in there. I know there's a lot of great stuff in there. That's why I try to just do this extra session here about 20 minutes in, just for the fact if I can't do it, I believe they save this whole recording up on the ACCSD website. So scrub through that video to like the last 20, 30 minutes, and you can at least get these kind of questions and answers that way. I know that's not the best way, Mary, but at least it's there. So that's why I try to do these sessions at the very end, because I'm not quite sure if they can share it or if it can be shared in this interface that I have. But it's a great thing. I'll try to remember that next time. That way I'll try to see if I can enable the chat anytime. If they invite me back, I will see if I can get the chat working so we can talk amongst ourselves, or if you can just maybe message me. I know there's a way to save chat messages, but I don't know if there's a way that I can, I'll have to save it and then go through and edit some random ones that are just people commenting towards me versus other things. For Pittsburgh, you know what? I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. I believe I'm going to be in Pittsburgh for the PAPSA conference and some other events that way. I actually live not too far from Pittsburgh. If I was going to go to the quote unquote big city, it's Pittsburgh or Cleveland for me. I live kind of like in between. I have neighbors that are Steeler people and I have neighbors that are Browns people. And I'm a Browns person, so I'm one of the ones you could feel sad for our team. I can save the question field. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Mary. I'll try to save that question field. I'll make sure I get those in there. Thank you very much. I'll make sure before I end everything, I'll make sure I can save it here. Thank you so much. Yeah, we do come out. If you go to that Sina.com website, I do stuff that's in person. I think sometimes it's nice to hit a lot of people here this way. If you do have professional development opportunities in-house that you like to do, where we can kind of fine tune a little bit. Right now, I kind of hit general things and talk in general terms, but sometimes it's nice to get with a core group of people who are from one campus that have one type of audience, and that way we can kind of cater some of these strategies to that campus. I do go out, especially in I'm in from the Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan area here. We do a lot of stuff in because it's just less funds to set that up. But there are different organizations we go to, the NWCF for the Northwest Career College Federation. We do go out for those conferences as well. So we do travel out west. We do go down to Florida as some of the conference materials we do down there. We're looking to go to the New England region this year as well. So we do go to different regions. So, if there's an opportunity that I can swing by and pop out, I'd be more than happy to. I love visiting the different schools and seeing the different classrooms and comparing it to the ones that I have here back in Ohio, the West Virginia area, and ones that I do online. So, awesome. I live close. I live close to Scott here. I live actually in a town. I live in Columbiana County, Ohio. Not that I don't want you to come egg my house if you didn't like my presentation, but Columbiana County, Ohio, it's like 40 minutes south of Youngstown. If you know where the Youngstown area, like I said, I'm in the Pittsburgh, Cleveland corridor, and I'm about 3 hours from Columbus, Ohio, near that way. So that's the region I'm out. Oh, south of Youngstown. All right, cool. So you are out my way then. Youngstown has turning technologies. That's how I got my clickers. I worked with some people up in turning technologies in downtown Youngstown, and that's how I use my clickers for in lecture presentations where students can answer on the fly, and it can be anonymous, or I can have them, I can record their answers on the back end and get all kinds of cool reporting features. That's based in Youngstown. So thanks. Sheila, thank you. All good. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody who's been here for all four. I think I'm approaching the half hour, but I got 6 minutes. So I'll keep on trucking here. If I see anything that I have, yep, I'll try to get the chats. Yeah, Don, that's a great idea. Seeing the equations graphed, really helps them. I think it's visual. Saying things visually or showing it in a graph, showing it in some type of map, doing something graphically. I've seen that's helped a lot, and that's why I always recommend doing things graphically in notes. Sometimes, just having a bunch of words. My thing is, like, I get students that write every single word on my PowerPoint presentation, and it just, that's not the best way to learn, I think, just to copy all the notes down. And as you see, this is probably my most wordy presentation I do. My other ones are just mostly graphics. I kind of do that on purpose for my students. So I'm just in the habit of doing that. I want them to listen to me more and spend more time before or after prepping and taking notes, or I'll just give them guided notes. And so that way they get the best of both worlds, depending on my class and how I'm feeling them out. Because again, I think they understand things visually. I just want them to, take short notes, sketch things out. I'll show things graphically again on the slide, and I think that's a great idea. Doing things graphic, especially if you're working with math and numbers and stuff. Numbers sometimes are foreign. I know there's people who get math and some people who do not, and you're working against the people who are like, I just never get math. I'm so dumb at math, for example. Well, I think just showing them different ways to understand the materials might, set off that light bulb. So appreciate the information, Don. Maria, thank you. Maria, I think you're a common name I see up here. I appreciate you joining me all the time on here. East Palestine, yes, East Palestine, Ohio. That is in Columbia County region up that way. That is near my neck of the woods. I do know where that's at. Thank you. Yep, more calendar stuff. Yeah, a lot of people do the calendars and stuff. That's a great idea. I appreciate it. Yep, thank you, Don. You guys, if you have to jump off here, I know we're running long on time. So if there's any more questions, shoot them in. If not, I'll officially end the presentation here. Let me just start doing the cleanup here. Let me just stop the screen here, but I'll stick on just for a couple more moments just in case, but you feel free to jump off. I appreciate you sticking with me for the, hour and a half now we've been together. And even if you join me the previous presentations, I really enjoy it. Let ACCSC know you like these things. I know they're always eager to get feedback and to know if they should do more or less or different topics. Sometimes we just trying to figure out what topics to talk about. And if you can give us feedback, I know that helps Mr. Lambert and all them a great deal to kind of figure out and gauge and get a temperature of what is the hot topics you guys want to talk about and maybe share ideas about. So we're always helpful, or with the organization. We're always eager to help, and we like working with ACCSC. Great bunch of people. So hopefully I'll get to see you in the future, either later on this year or maybe next year. I've done these 2 years in a row. There's a session if you go to the events and webinar screen. Scroll down a little bit. We've done a couple different ones. I did it with a cohort of mine. We did a 3 or 4 series one last year as well. So there should be at least 8 good webinars from my perspective of things. And there's other webinars from other different subject matter experts and educators and whatnot out there as well. I do enjoy it because I'm an educator myself right now. I do online teaching just because I work here at Sign Educational Services. But that allows me to visit different schools. So that's always great. I always like seeing different educators. But at the same time, I do really enjoy being on the front lines with you guys with the students. And so I am fortunate enough to keep myself in the classroom. It's virtual now, but I get to keep myself in the classroom and build off of the experience that I have on ground to do some online teaching, which is always nice, which I like to do in the evening and get to use some cool new things that we can do online, use that hybrid teaching and seeing how well we can translate things that we do on our on-ground campus to our online campus. So I thank you very much. I appreciate it. Jeff, thank you very much. Ram, thank you so much. Don, Dennis, if you guys are still on here, I appreciate all you guys joining me today. Looks like we're fresh out of questions. Again, if you need anything, please let me know on the email, david.grimes@sina.com, anytime you want. I said 2 minutes from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now. Send me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you guys. I always think of myself as an extended faculty member. We're all in this together. And so, we all face the same things. We all feel the same way, I think, when graduation comes around and we see a lot of smiling faces, a lot of diplomas, a lot of certificates, a lot of happy people, a lot of happy families. And I think that's what drives us to do better. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to share your great ideas with me. I'm trying to jot all these down, and I'll save the questions, see if we can maybe share some of these questions out in the webinar. I'll see if I can access the ones from the previous ones and see if there's a document. Maybe we can work out with it. I can't make any promises, but I will do my best to kind of get that in. Again, if not, it says recording right now. So I think I said the people at ACCSC just put up the whole webinar. So just scrub to the last 30 minutes. You can just, if you have something in the background, have this in the background and kind of get some questions out that way. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Appreciate you spending the Thursday afternoon with me. and hopefully there's some great things you can implement. And if there's anything that you see that works in your classroom, I would love to hear about it. So definitely shoot me an email. Maybe we can talk, or maybe we can chat over email and see what worked or what didn't work. And I always like to see success stories out in the classroom. So with that, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us for the ACCSC webinar brought to you by ACCSC and Science Educational Services. Have a fantastic day.